Welcome to Voices of Vision, Stories of Soul. Thank you for being here. This is a series that celebrates the dreamers, healers, and creators, shaping a more conscious world through heartfelt conversation. We uncover wisdom, purpose, and magic that moves the soul and inspire transformation. Thank you very much for being here. And just a reminder that this is going to YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. And we'd like to take a moment to show our respects to the Bunurong people, part of the Eastern Kulin Nation. We show our respects to all elders, past and present. And today we have an amazing guest. We're very excited to have her here. The inspiring Clare Pickering, actor, writer, director, producer, storytelling mentor, and founder of Late Bloomers Fest. Thank you very much for joining us, Clare.
Thank you so much for having me, Kathryn. I'm sorry, my cat has literally just walked in front of me. She's about to launch herself onto her cat tower. So yeah, there's an extra guest here for a moment. So I
That sounds
apologize.
gorgeous. I've got a little ginger one that's not available, but he's probably listening in the background.
There, guys.
Claire's journey is a powerful reminder that creativity can flourish at any stage of life. After studying and backpacking and having directed a film that I remember graduating at, or you've built an impressive career across theatre, musicals, television, and film. I wanted to ask you about the Edinburgh Festival because that's kind of when I was last. You know how people just have these flare-ups. So tell me
Yeah.
about what you're doing and just very quickly what you've done from touring your show to the Edinburgh Film Festival.
Wow, that feels like such a long time ago now. Um, so I was very close to my dad, and he died in 2012 from complications of dementia. And he had always said to me, "Have you thought about going behind the scenes of the camera? Working as a producer director?" And I thought Dad was very gently trying to tell me that I wasn't a very good actor, and maybe it was time to go behind the scenes. And he was always trying to encourage me to write as well. And I was just like, no, nah, that is not my thing. I'm an actor, that's it. And when he died, I ended up doing a course with Karen Ludwig at Howard Fine Studios on creating your own solo show. And it became sort of therapy for me. So I wrote this show about my relationship with my dad and navigating the final years of his life and having living on the East Coast and having to go back to Perth all the time to be with my dad. And at the same time, my mum also had dementia. So it was a really difficult time and trying to navigate my career as an actor and my need to be at home with my family in Perth. So anyway, I wrote this show and I ended up taking it to Edinburgh Fringe and made a lot of mistakes along the way. But it was an incredible experience. And I think for me, the most incredible thing was being on the other side of the world and sharing my personal story was really impacting people there. So after the shows, people would come up to me and tell me their stories of dementia, that their loved ones that they were caring for. And it just made me realize it was a universal issue. And I was just so grateful that I was able to give a voice to those people who felt that not everyone understands what it's like. It's quite an isolating illness
Yeah.
when someone has dementia. So yeah, so that's what happened there. And then I
Well,
came back from that.
yeah, it's interesting because I mean, I work with over 65s at the moment, actually. So I, interestingly, have elder people around me all the time, 3 days a week in a job that I really love because I didn't grow up with grandparents, really. And the ones that they passed before I was born, and they were all kind of war, like totally
Mm.
war, total the fox, like sort of shawl and that kind of thing. And I find it really, really rewarding being around the fragility of life at a certain age because I think it helps to remind ourselves how lucky we are our fortune can always be in our future. And I think
Yeah.
that what you've developed the um, with your programs, I think that's with Late Bloomers Fest and with the programs, I think that you've really shown that. Yeah. So you did like a course on storytelling, maybe like 10 years ago. Tell us about
In
that.
in COVID, actually, I wrote a pilot series of a storytelling course, and I had some very dear acting friends who were my guinea pigs, and the course was incredible. And several of them went on to do amazing things. One of them has now done 3 solo shows. One of them finished his one-man show. Another one wrote a book. Her plan was to write blogs for her website. She smashed it out of the park, and it just gave me the realization that there was a real need for this. And so um, I've rolled it out a few more times now in person. I've had several courses, and again, everyone who's done my course has gone on to achieve incredible things. And I think my courses are literally just mentoring people, supporting people to reconnect with their inner storyteller, the storyteller that we have when we're little. So when we're 3, 4, 5, 6 years of age, we just tell stories freely, without any judgment, without any worries, without any concern that it's been done before or that it's stupid, or we don't do that. We just tell stories. And then as we grow older, we lose that sense of intrinsic trust in our storytelling ability. And I think watching people reconnect and really searching for their unique voice and sharing their story is just extraordinary for me to
Yes,
witness. And
yes.
I also think part of it came about because during COVID, I felt as though, certainly living in Melbourne, we were all losing our voice
Yeah.
and just what was happening politically, and even just journalism and voices being silenced. I just felt, oh, we need our voices. We need to be heard. And so I started, creating this course, and it's just gone on to, really help other people. So now I'm offering it in more ways than one. So if someone wants to do it self-paced in their own time, they can. If people want to do a Zoom version or an in-person version. So I'm just
So,
trying to
so
make
Claire,
it a more
yeah, I've joined what did you call it? Like the
self-paced,
self-paced,
self-paced.
yes, because I'm self-pacing, and that really suits me because I cannot even tell you how much I wanted to take myself off every Thursday night and go and be surrounded by other actors. But the trouble is, it's too hard for me to fit into my life. And then I just thought, but I have to do this course because everything I'm trying to bring out in myself as a human being is to get other people to talk about their stories. And then in doing that, I'm actually looking around and it's like this big ocean swell, right? It's of people and they're like all of a sudden, and your head pops up and you look around and there's all these other people that are like, oh yeah, we're trying to get people to talk about their stories as well. And like, we're trying to get people to talk about their stories as well. And I'm like, oh my gosh, because even though massage is a different thing because you're getting someone to talk about their story. It's a pain story, but it's still a very relevant story that I really enjoy. My question answer scenario is not quite the
Yeah.
same as the question answer that I found in the self-paced workshop. And I'm at week one, everybody. I'm at week one, and it was so enjoyable. I've really, as like a personality of myself, just being able to talk into you as a person doesn't feel like I'm just sitting on a computer. It really felt like, there's little individual captions and story blocks that actually really help me because I like a bit of time travel as well. So I really like the idea that I'm kind of going back to the beginning of storytelling, like you say, back to childhood, back to what I wanted to do, which was actually write books, write a children's book. So I've ticked that box. I wanted to go on
Amazing.
Neighbours. Yeah, I wanted to go on Neighbours. So I've ticked that box. So I've literally, and with the help of AI, I've just been working out what were my goals? How many of them have I done? And do I need to expand on them? So that's where we are, where I just have you and you come on to my little, podcast experience with the guests that I have in this eclectic mix as the actor. And I dreamed about having you on the show months ago, like months ago, because
Oh, thank
to me,
you.
it was such an incredibly important experience to bring an actor into this mix of, small business owners, really.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and you could maybe just if you could tell us more about the creative energy that brought about the course, and tell us a little bit more about your mentoring.
Yeah, so I think one of the things that I accidentally fell into was filmmaking, and that came about before COVID. I ended up making a few films that did well overseas, and I was shortlisted for Tropfest a few times. And so I think the part of the reason I did that was because I wasn't getting any work as an actor, and I thought, well, the only way I'm going to get any work is if I make my own.
Mm,
And so I think for me, it was all sort of part of that was in some ways I was talking to someone the other day and I think subconsciously I made the course that I needed for myself in a way.
yes, yeah,
And each week of the course, we go through different exercises to just help us unlock that creative storyteller and remind ourselves that when we authentically listen to our voice and trust our voice, we always get it right. And so I think it was just really about what are the hurdles that I've had to overcome and sharing my experience and knowledge with whoever does the course. And so far it's been really successful and it's just the greatest joy for me is to watch people go from week one and particularly week two, in the in-person courses in particular, people start to get a bit wobbly on week two because it's sort of like the reality hits that, oh gosh, I'm really in this course. But by week six, people are flying and it's so rewarding for me. I
yes.
get so much more out of it than anyone, to be
So
honest, I think.
I think why it works for you as well is because you have these awards, and it really helps to be able to present, like, because what is this wall that we're trying to hit, where, as far as success goes, and to be
Mm,
able to push through in Tropfest to get to a final stage is pretty amazing, because that in itself is such a contained festival. And like you were saying, Melbourne and the acting scene in Melbourne, it's a really small kind of
mm,
community of people. You don't want to be turning your back on anyone, in any given moment. And I think to be able to progress into uh, the form of a school and leadership, I think that is the proof that someone's finally made it. I was thinking about this when I was at a dance place where my daughter does jazz and ballet on the weekend. And there's these big posters everywhere for all the comedians and all the shows, all the theatre, or just basically it's like a little forum for all the things that are going on. And I'm always looking there and thinking to myself, like, that is poster power. Like, if you've got the power to present your work on a poster, and that doesn't matter, it's, it's decoration, that everything is the undercurrent and the hard work and the actual people that are going to come along in, like, the undercurrent of success. So I really think that you're the proof, that you made it, because you're mentoring others, and you're so the confidence that I feel from you is that your storytelling courses are there to teach and show me and all the others, um, that they've got a story, and that it's, I don't know, it's like a little photo box. I love it. I love the idea of it, and I think it just works for me because, I mean, I like, I've known you before, so I guess it's always good when you know somebody and then they come along and they've got this incredible success. It just makes me so happy.
oh, I think
I would love if you could tell us, Claire, about the Late Bloomers Fest, the actual festival that you have coming up.
Yes. So, my film this year was shortlisted for the third time. I've been shortlisted for Tropfest. And they had what they called Rough Cut, which was a 2 day, sort of seminars before the actual Tropfest screening. I didn't make it into the finals, but shortlisted. And there was a Q&A with John Paulson, the founder of Tropfest, and every conversation leading up to Tropfest was always about emerging filmmakers, new filmmakers, young filmmakers, graduates. And I was sitting in this panel discussion, and I had this that they had a Q&A at the end of the conversation, and I just had this instant gut instinct to raise my hand and ask a question. It wasn't even a moment of thinking, oh, should I or shouldn't I? I was absolutely compelled to speak. So I put my hand up, and thankfully they chose me. And I just said to John, I think I'm probably the oldest person in this room. Tropfest is all about supporting emerging filmmakers and new filmmakers, and they've got Trop Junior, but there's a whole cohort of people like myself who've been trying to break into the industry for decades or who've started late in life. Is there an opportunity for Tropfest to help us? And he said, yeah, that's definitely something I could take on board. We spoke again the next morning, and he was really keen. And I'm still hopeful that Tropfest are going to do something to do with. And we had a joke about calling it Golden Trop. Um, but John lives in the United States. He's a very successful director, and he's a very busy man. And a mentor of mine said, Claire, you've already got Late Bloomers Productions. Why don't you just put on your own festival? So
Yeah.
I thought, oh, okay, well, I don't need to wait for John, and maybe I can put something together that's a bit of a proof of concept to show him. I mean, I'm still really hopeful that Tropfest will do something. And I, gathered a couple of friends who are helping me, and we just came up with this concept that we wanted to hear from people over the age of 50. And the other thing that happened after that Q&A session was um, straight afterwards, a whole lot of people came up to me and said, Claire, I'm in my 50s and I feel invisible. Claire, I'm one of the finalists and I'm in my 60s. Hi, Claire, my name's Daniel. I'm 85. I run the Canberra Film Festival. So I suddenly realized that I didn't realize I was, when I originally spoke, I was really speaking for myself and my friend who was with me. And then I discovered there was a whole group of people in that room who had felt silenced and invisible. And yeah,
To
it
me,
was, it was
I feel like we improve with age. And I had this belief while I was studying acting and getting all my little, auditions or whatever. I actually just believed that it stemmed from a need to caress personal development. So I just thought, as long as, I've kind of got to be seen, I don't want to
Mm.
look bad. So I'm going to have to keep up the I don't know. I don't know what it is, whether it's just the gray hair. I don't know what it is. But also, I think that's a personal thing. I really don't want to look old. So I feel like I clung to that acting modality because it helped my from a face value point of view. So I feel like I see the older actors, older than us, like, and they're the inspiration. They're the ones that help. They're the ones that help me to kick goals or help me to envisage and feel and see into their just being more in life. And I think late bloomers is such a wonderful term because there are some 20 and 30-year-olds out there that actually feel old, that actually, because of the maturities, and people maturing at all different levels. So I just feel like that name doesn't have to describe older people because older people can just be vivacious and exciting and having their second life and having their midlife turns the corner and they're onto this amazing thing. And it can also be like a younger person that's feeling like they missed the boat at 16 or something like
Mm.
that as
I
well.
think too, I think one of the things is that we live in a culture, in Western culture, where we revere 20-something-year-olds. And the
Yeah.
industry is rife with it's all about, I graduated from drama school when I was turning 30, and I was basically told my career was over, and I hadn't even started.
Yeah.
And I think we have this culture where everything's about looking young. I mean, we use the word anti-aging as though there's something wrong with aging, and it's just we've got to start changing that conversation. And that's why I'm so grateful to our Indigenous uh, community, because they revere their elders.
Yes.
The elders are someone to look up to and someone to learn from. And I think for me, it's not just about creatives, but in this industry, any opportunity for scholarships or particularly scholarships and opportunities and support is all for people that are relatively young. There is nothing for anyone in
Yes.
their 50s.
No, no, Claire, there is you.
Oh, there is.
It's you.
Oh,
There is you.
oh, there
Like
is now. There
when
is
I
now.
saw and I felt the vibe and I started to just kind of think about what have I done? Like I'm not I might have been like, there's going to be tons of people that just fall off. They're going to be that person that, oh, they didn't make it. They didn't make it. You did make it if somebody else is reading that you've gone to Edinburgh and you've taken a show there and all of these things. It's a lot it's a lot of hard work, and to be able to bring about what you're doing, to be able to bring into the conversation late bloomers, to be able to bring that over 50 scenario in, and like I don't think you should collapse on it. I think you should run around and feel joy and glee and High School Musical, or I mean, and maybe too, because I'm someone that's gone back to school a lot, so I've
Mm.
spent a lot of time. Like I didn't even have a year 11 pass when I was like blah 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 up until about 10 years ago, and then I totally went back to school. um I did like a certificate 3 in tourism that was the equivalent to year 12, so yes. And
That's
then
fantastic.
yeah, and then went back and did a diploma. I had a certificate 4 in massage therapy, went back and did a diploma, and then I did a TAE in training education. So now I want to do massage, I want to do teaching myself. So that's kind
Yeah.
of part of the experience for me of learning how to tell my story confidently, because I really want to encourage like people that are out there to kind of see to fruition their dreams, and that's kind of the idea of storytelling. That's the idea. If you can bring to fruition your dream, you'll see it for yourself, and then you can go get it. Because I think at a certain age we run out of people that really care about whether we make it or not. It's really up to us to actually kick those goals. And I think it's incredible. I'm so pleased to have just incorporated it into my education. And I really wanted to say to you as well how I have said to you as well. Actually, the website is so beautiful. It's so professional, and I really feel like I'm part of something that's beneficial to me as a growing human. So please tell the listeners more about how they can get in touch with you, um, the Late Bloomers Fest, and the creating your own story, the course that I'm doing.
Yeah. So my website is latebloomersproductions.com.au. All the information about the course is on there. I'm also creating a new course, which I'm hoping to launch pretty soon, which is how to put on your own show. I was going to call it how to put on your own solo show, but I think it probably applies to any show, but it's probably specifically for people who want to put on their own show. So that will be going up on the website very soon. So yeah, and all the information about Late Bloomers Fest, how to apply is on the Late Bloomers Fest page, which is part of the website as well. And all my contact information is on there, so people can reach out if they want to have a chat.
Late Bloomers Fest. If you could tell the listeners just one thing in conversation that will help them to better explore themselves in your own words and for their own story, what would it be?
I would say to listen to your instinct, listen to your inner storyteller. They're in there, they've been there all your life, and it's just about getting rid of the noise and reconnecting. And, there's lots of exercises that I go through in my courses, but even just getting a coloring book and colouring in pencils and just playing again, as we do when we're little.
Yes.
It'll help unlock that storyteller within you.
Okay, well, let me tell you, Claire has the experience. She has the background. I just know her to be somebody that, like, even from just a directorial point of view, you can sit back and let somebody be, which I think is a real gift. Thank you so very much for coming on and speaking to me. This is Voices of Vision, Stories of Soul, and we will see you in the next episode. Thank you, Claire, so much for being here. Sending you all
Thank
the
you,
best.
Kathryn,
I'll be in touch. We'll talk soon.
so much. Bye.